B-Pod Studios.
This is Talkin' Rock. Talkin' Rock. Your backstage pass to some of your favorite rock artists. Here's your host, Meltdown.
Hey, thanks so much for checking out the Talkin' Rock with Meltdown podcast. Back at it for another fresh week right here on The Big Show. I do have some interviews lined up here. I know some concerts are coming around and stuff, and I've got some irons in the fire. So, as always, follow, subscribe, check back often, that kind of thing. Guns N' Roses kicked off their tour in Hershey, Pennsylvania over the weekend as I record this. And Brando from the Appetite for Distortion podcast was there. It's a podcast that's primarily Guns N' Roses centric, but he ventures off into different things here and there. But anyways, Brando was there, so he's going to give us an update as to how that concert went and all the details coming up here in just a few minutes. But first, it's Jack Blades, and he's from Night Ranger. The new record and the band played on, ATBPO, is coming out on August 6th, this coming Friday, as I record this. I'm going to ask him about the Prince story. I got to ask him about that, right? It just came out recently that they weren't allowed to look at Prince when they gave him an award back in 1985. Damon Johnson, who played with them kind of, sort of, in the Damn Yankees, texted me a little bit of information. I'll ask him about that as well. And tons more today with Jack Blades from Night Ranger. Jack, how's things?
Good, Meltdown. How's it going out there in Detroit, Rock City, baby?
That's right. It's going good. I mean, it's getting better now. We got the concert starting to line up. As a matter of fact, one of the last live outdoor concerts I saw was you guys here with Theory of a Dead Man, that outdoor show you guys played.
I like it. Yeah, I mean, we love your neck of the woods. We still call it Pine Knob.
That's right.
We don't call it DTE.
That's true. Yep, exactly. So, hey, speaking of concerts, before we get into the new record, I was at a concert that you did one time many, many years ago, actually 29 years ago. Let's see if I can jar your memory. I'm not even sure if you were actually still in the room, but I was at that Buffalo incident with Faith No More. Were you still there?
No. I don't think I was in the room.
Okay, but you know what I'm talking about.
No.
You and Tommy Shaw were doing an acoustic thing, then Faith No More showed up later on in the night, and all hell broke loose.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I mean, what happened with that? I never finally got the whole story on that thing.
Well, Faith No More showed up. They were asked to do a couple songs. They went up on the stage, played some bizarre song. Next thing you know, Mike Patton's pants are down. I'm talking to Billy Sheehan, and his manager comes up and says his pants are down, and microphones were put in places they weren't supposed to be put in. And I was told that you might have actually left by that time, but I remember asking Tommy Shaw about this, and he was stunned. He remembered it completely. But anyways, I was just curious if you had any recollection of that night.
Oh, my God, that's crazy. I try to forget the bad things.
I don't blame you. Well, I'll tell you what, let's move on from that night, because I was told, like I said, that you might not have been there. But a couple weeks ago, you guys played with Corey Taylor. That must have been cool.
Oh, dude, Corey's the greatest guy. I mean, he's awesome. He's he and I go back and forth and stuff like that. He's talented, dude. And I was, we came to the show, and I was hitting him up. I said, "Hey, dude, we're playing together. It's going to be great." And I'm like, "Yeah, we're at Rockfest." And so when I come, I went to the festival when I got there, and went into Corey's, and we were all just laughing and joking and talking. And I said, "Dude, why don't you come up and sing?" He was telling me how much he loves "Don't Tell Me You Love Me." I said, "Take the second verse, dude. Why don't you sing the second verse?" He goes, I said, "You need the lyrics? I can print them out for you." He says, "I don't need the lyrics. I know them by heart." And I'm like, "You're on, dude." So he and his whole band were watching the show on the side of the stage, and we came up to "Don't Tell Me You Love Me," and I finished the first chorus, and I'm like, I look at him, I point over to him, he goes, "You sure?" He's like this, and I'm like, I just grabbed the mic and ran. I took my microphone, went right out there, and just handed it to him. He came out, and it was awesome, dude. The fans went crazy and everything like that. He's an amazing musician, man. A great songwriter, and he's a hell of a talented person.
Yeah, there's no doubt. His music is so diverse, from everything he does, from Slipknot to his solo stuff to Stone Sour. So that was a pretty cool story, that you guys got to hook up with him and put him on stage. That's got to be fun when, guys come and collaborate with you, right?
You know what? That's what it's all about at this stage of the game, Let's just have fun. Let's just enjoy ourselves. Let's just have a great time. And it makes a great time for the fans and the audience, too, you know what I mean, when they see stuff like that happening. It's not going to happen every day. It's not going to, it makes it special for everybody. So, I mean, that kind of stuff is great. I love when that happens.
Now, of course, getting back on tour and playing, I'm sure, is fun. But you got this new record that's coming out this week, and the band played on. The first single is out, Breakout. Did you have fun making this record, or was it like a little bit more hard work than normal with COVID and everything?
I'll tell you, it was a lot different because of the fact that we couldn't be all in the room together like we usually do. We usually get all together in a room and jam on songs and come up with ideas and come up with songs and all that kind of stuff, and then immediately go in and record them to keep it really fresh and exciting and keep the spirit of the song going. But at this stage of the game, we couldn't do that. I mean, we did a couple of Zoom calls that were lame, but and coming up with songs. Then we sent tracks around, but we really had to focus on making it sound like we were all together, and I think that's what we accomplished. I think this album has a great groove to it. I think it grooves more than some of our other records. I mean, I'm really stoked that people are going to hear the record in its entirety. Like, it's going to be out this Friday, so I'm really pumped up that everybody gets to hear the whole record. And
the single I've heard so far, Breakout, the thing that struck me about this is the multiple guitar solos in the middle.
Yeah. Well, see, Brad came up with the song, and Brad came up with that music, and Brad had it was like a real sort of, it was like a 6-minute opus. I mean, there was a lot of parts to it, everything going on, and there was a lot of guitars, a lot of playing, because he just came up with it in his studio and put this whole thing together. And so I said, he sent it to us, and I said, we got to make it like a song, like a kind of condense it, get the best parts, kind of create it and everything like that. And then, so we had just the music. And I was hearing that riff, and the riff is da 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 da. It's a great riff. It's like a "Don't Tell Me You Love," ba 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 ba. It's like a "Don't Tell Me You Love Me" riff. And I'm trying to think. There's a lot of notes going on in that thing. So on a chorus, what are we going to do? And we're going through all this pandemic and stuff. And I'm like, I just like to break out of all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm just going to go in there and sing Breakout and see what happens. So I walked in the studio one morning and just went over that lick. I was like, break out! Come on, little sister, break out! And I'm like, well, that works. And then I wrote the verses and the lyrics and the melody, and the whole thing just came about.
Now, briefly, what does the rest of the record sound like for when people grab it on Friday?
Well, I think it's a classic Night Ranger in every sense of the word. It's got melodies, it's got double guitar harmonies, it's got big ballads. There's a great ballad, "Can't Afford a Hero," and the other ballad that Kelly Keagy sings, a great ballad called I just spaced out all the songs. The Hardest Road. That's a great ballad. And then "Coming for You." There's a song called "Monkey." There's all kinds of there's just great stuff. I mean, the great Night Ranger. So hard to make it easy. There's so many melodic things on this record, but it's real straight up American rock and roll, which you're used to with Night Ranger. It's a classic Night Ranger record, and I can't wait for people to hear it this Friday.
And of course, without being said, you can still rock in America with Night Ranger, right? So, but
you got that right, baby.
Hey, a couple more things here for you before we cut you loose. You're talking about ballads and whatnot, and of course, High Enough. I was doing a workout this morning, or at least attempting to, with my puppy in my gym, and that's a whole other story. But I put on the first Damn Yankees record, and I mean, being here in the home of Ted Nugent and stuff, that must have been quite a whirlwind to play with Ted Nugent.
Oh, it was great. I can't tell you how many times I've played the Whiplash Bash. I think at Cobo Hall in Detroit, the New Year's Eve show.
Yeah.
I mean, we rehearsed out at Ted's place all the time, and we have we're tied. We're joined at the hip with Detroit and with Michigan and everything like that because of the damn Yankees and Ted.
And Damon Johnson's a friend of mine. He said to give you his best. He said the majority of the time he spent together with the damn Yankees with him was in 2000 at your house. He said you guys wrote a song called "We Are the Ones" that was a favorite of his that wound up on his solo album, and he's grateful to have met Jack and his awesome family. That's from Damon. Damon, I don't know if you know is out touring right now with Leonard Skinner.
Damon's playing with Leonard Skinner now, huh?
Yeah, because I guess Gary Rosington had some sort of heart issue, so he's actually doing some dates with him. So, of course, to him, that's like playing the soundtrack of his youth every single night.
Oh, man, that's great. And he's also playing with Michael Cardelloni, our drummer from the damn Yankees, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, so, that was in late 2000. So I guess, the question you probably get all the time is, well, is there any stuff out there, or will it ever see the light of day? You've probably answered this a billion times.
Yeah, it's not going to ever. Nah, it'll never see the light of day. What's happening was it's all. You know, the good stuff on that record has all come out on different records. I did one song on my solo record, Shine On. Tommy did a song on a Styx record. Ted's put out a couple parts of it. I guess Damon put that one on his. And there's a lot of stuff like that. It's floating around. So that record will never, ever see the light of day.
Gotcha. And last thing I wanted to ask you about, and this came out a couple weeks ago, and I know that you got some traction about it. I asked Alice Cooper one time, a couple months ago. It's the 32nd anniversary of the time when he gave the Grammy Award to Jethro Tull. But you guys got to go on stage and do something, I think, in 1985 with Prince, and it was just reported that you couldn't look at him or do it. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Oh, my God, yeah. Our management, when they found out that Kelly and I were giving the award for the Album of the Year, and, of course, we got a letter from Prince's office because that was going to be, Purple Rain. They said, we have a feeling that Prince is going to win this award for the American Music Awards and Purple Rain, and we understand that Jack Blaze and Kelly Keagy are going to be giving the award. Under no circumstances are they to speak or talk or even look at Prince. When they present him with the award, they're just to hand it to him and look the other way. They're not to speak to him. They're not to do it. So they sat us right behind him because we all had to go up on stage and everything like that. So when we got that, we're like, is this for real? Are you kidding me? That was the wrong thing to say to Kelly and me or to anybody in our. I mean, that was so during the whole show, Prince was sitting literally like in a theater, like right in front of us. Like the seat about a foot and a half in front of me was Prince, and his bodyguard, this big guy, little chick, was sitting next to him. So every time somebody won an award, I'd pat him on the shoulder, going, "Man, dude, check that out! Isn't that great, Prince? Man, isn't that freaking awesome?" And he'd look over at me, all and then the next guy doing it, we're like, and Kelly'd be, "Oh, dude, how about that? Hey, Prince!" We kind of rock his chair and shit like that. We just messed with the whole thing the whole time. And then when we got, we presented the awards, I'm talking to him, handing him the award and everything like that. I mean, they should not have told us that. Everything would have been fine had they not sent that. So there you go.
I mean, it's like, what are they going to do to you? Fine you or throw you in jail? I mean, it's ridiculous. So stupid.
Yeah, it's like F off.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, Jack, I'll tell you what, thanks so much for the time. And the Band Played On comes out this Friday. No more Faith, no more incidents, hopefully, for the rest of your career. And
Right, exactly. Hey, we're just really excited about the record coming out, ATBPO, and the Band Played On, man. The new Night Ranger music, people are going to love it. I can't wait for everyone to hear the entire record.
Awesome. Well, Jack, thanks so much, man. Great to talk to you.
You got it, bro, and take care of Detroit for us.
So somebody went and saw Guns N' Roses over the weekend. Brando from the Appetite for Distortion podcast. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. And a lot of somebodies went.
Yeah, so I heard was there 30,000 people there? I don't know how big that place is.
That I do not know. I didn't do a head count. But it's just as far as optics, it was pretty packed. It wasn't like you couldn't move around, but I didn't see empty seats or anything. It was people as far as I could see, unless there were tarps covered. But I don't know how that stadium normally is structured, being a New Yorker. Yeah, now they're going to be playing here in Detroit coming up on Sunday, August the 8th, and they're playing at Comerica. So, I mean, if they pack that place, that's probably around 40,000 or something along those lines. So, I'm looking forward to seeing them. Of course, I saw them for the first time with the latest incarnation, I guess, back in 2016 when they played at Ford Field, which I think was their first stadium show back. And I've told Slash this before. It was just amazing to watch Slash and Duff kind of come to the front of the stage during, I believe it's So Easy. And all of a sudden it's like, Axl comes running out. I'm like, my buddy who was with me just gave me this gigantic bear hug. Like, we couldn't even believe we were seeing it. So, I mean, it's probably a little bit different now. They've been touring for the last 5 years or so. But tell me about the show this past weekend in Hershey. And I had the same reaction when I first saw the reunion show. I believe it was also at MetLife Stadium, which I'm going again this coming Thursday. So the show at Hershey, it made me excited to go again to MetLife. So I don't know if you often travel much for shows, but this was like, you know what, I can do it. 3.5 hours. It's a Saturday. Let's do it. So I went with my fiance, and I thought we would be on time, and I want people to know this because they moved all of the times up, the show dates. I don't know if you got emails from Ticketmaster, and this actually plays a role into the show itself. Because I don't know if you've been keeping up with, I don't know if Guns N' Roses Twitter is a real thing, but people are kind of, it was a shorter set. There's all reasons behind this, which I will get to.
Now, wait a second. Hold on for 1 second. So they moved the show times up for weather or what?
So what I believe, actually I don't believe, I was told this, that there was, maybe you can tell me if it's the same in Detroit, there's a 11 o'clock ordinance, like a town ordinance. You can't have any sound or like loud, noises past a certain time in
That's pretty, that's pretty typical. When they played here, like in the closed stadium of Ford Field, where the Lions play, they want it on 9:45 and finish up at 12:15. So maybe that's
okay.
So go ahead.
So much different than back in the day because I've become friendly with former manager Doug Goldstein, and he said that he used to carry around like a briefcase full of money because they know they would go late every night,
right?
And Axel didn't care, he
right?
Just find out how much. So we got there a little after 6. And Wolf was, I guess they said showtime was at 6. Maybe he came on 6:10, so I think I missed the first couple songs. And I got to say, I was really looking forward to seeing Wolfgang Van Halen.
Yeah,
for real. I thought they hit a home run when they announced him as the opener because his voice is incredible. Like he's singing live, and it sounds exactly like if you heard the record already.
Yeah, I've heard it a bunch of times. Great record, yeah.
Yeah, he was absolutely great. He'd love to be there. Made a point to say that it's hard for him to play distance, and I'm just emotional to hear it. It was fantastic, and it's funny as somebody who's seen GNR, or anybody who's seen them, especially back in the day. How much time is there going to be between the opening act and Guns N' Roses?
Right.
Can I go do my taxes? Should I go home and come back? So I think this is what I think I want your. I don't know. I apologize as a New Yorker. Your Detroiters, is that what I want people to know?
Yep.
There was actually a Comedy Central show, so I guess I should know that.
Yeah.
What they should know is because GNR probably came out 7-ish, so they came out maybe a little late according to what they were supposed to come out.
Interesting.
10 minutes late. So they came out 7-ish, maybe 7:30. It's hard to, I don't know. It's like 2 days ago, and I feel like I'm still felt like I haven't slept properly since then.
So they did come out early.
So they came out early, especially for them, and it's early if you think if the doors are 6, don't think they're coming on at 9. They're not. They're going to come out pretty close to when they say they're going to come out, and because the reason it was kind of odd, they come out and you kind of painted a picture when their first reunion / Axel Duff and then Axel were between them, and it's great. People weren't in their seats yet. They were it was still pretty full, but there were still a lot of people walking around. And It's So Easy is playing. And what's funny is you see people just walking to their seat with a cell phone up so they can capture it to watch it later, I guess, because they still have to go get their seat.
Yeah, it's funny you mention that because now that you do say that, I saw this show in Buffalo in 2017 or 2016 as well in that first tour. And, it was one of those things where they came on stage, and it was clearly still sunlight out. So they were obviously on stage way before 9:45. I can't remember. It might have been around 8 o'clock or something like that. But I saw them in Buffalo back in 1992 with Metallica, and he mentioned the briefcase full of money. And they didn't go on stage till 11 o'clock after Metallica was off the stage for, I'm going to say, an hour and a half before Guns N' Roses, and they played till 1 a.m.
That used to be the case, and there's a lot of people who think that this is your mom and dad's Guns N' Roses. Well, it's not. It's just not. So they came out. Axel's smiling. He's killing it. The first few songs they're absolutely killing it. I won't give any spoilers. Maybe if you are a huge Guns N' Roses fan, you can maybe predict the set list. I will say they were pretty consistent as far as what they were going to do. I will give you a couple of, I guess, maybe inside things at the scuttlebutt. There was a leaked set list, and I never know what these things can be photoshopped. I always take it with a grain of salt. But that leaked set list was right on the money. I'm watching it, and it's going. And there is supposed to be, if you're into the GNR like I am, new music, or at least a new song, or something they've been working on.
Right.
And that was on the set list. There are videos that exist of that song being practiced, what's called hard school, with people hanging out the arena taping sound check, like the day before. So, I mean, like, it should be real. I don't know. I feel like until Axl says it's real, that's where my hesitation is. Because as Axl once famously said, the only confirmation is my love of Taco Bell. He said that when they confirmed Coachella, but
Right.
he wasn't ready to confirm it yet. So anyway,
it's so And just talking to you here, talking about new music. I remember interviewing Slash almost 2.5 years ago now, and you may recall this or not, but he talked about how they were going to be going in the studio recording a new album.
yeah, he's been talking about, they've been messing around with new things, passing around ideas. Susan Holmes McKagan, Duff's wife, said in my podcast that she's heard some bits and boops. I believe that's how she phrased it, and she said it's pretty epic. So that was interesting for Duff's wife, of all people, to give me that nugget, to give us that nugget. But the interesting thing is, and why the show I think is going to be even better each night, and you know this in radio, you can test equipment, you can do trial runs, things happen, things go wrong. I noticed something during the song Better of Chinese Democracy. I said to my fiance, I'm like, is he missing lyrics? Because I find myself singing along, and I don't hear him singing.
Mm-hmm.
What turns out to be, it seems like he's having issues with his mic. You see him go back kind of like to the stage, look off, and I guess you do more appearances than I do, Meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
There might be a switch on the microphone that goes from the PA system to, maybe his tech people. It seems like he's just constantly communicating to somebody off stage, and something's happening, and he looks like he's about to shake his head, in frustration, but he really seems, other than that, he's smiling, he's having a good time, putting his arm on Slash. You can see his, emotions really into it. But that seems to keep happening. Like he's just, from that moment on, from the song Better on, he just has having some issues. And actually posted a video on my Twitter, and I can't make out exactly what Axl says, but as he sits down for November Rain, there's something wrong with the mix. He's like, I can't hear the. Can I curse on this podcast?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, I'm asking this. It's usually people asking me.
Yeah, right.
Something about the fucking keys, the piano keys.
That's what Axl is saying?
Yeah, something like that. But he's still joking throughout. He's like, you'd think we've done this before, or like we're a bit rusty, kind of thing. So he's having fun. He seems and everyone got quiet when he cursed. Like everyone did. Like it was kind of crazy because like he commands that kind of power. But he went right into November Rain, and you see him like looking over, and I guess they adjust the sound, and he's like nodding his head. He's like a bit better. It was crazy. I kind of admire that as somebody in radio where things go wrong. Sometimes you just got to call it out live. It is what it is.
Well, and to that too, it's like, they're really playing music and they're really up there singing and all that kind of stuff. It'd be one thing if he was like faking it or lip syncing or whatever the case is. So, You know what? It's like you go to a live show expecting to see some, glitches and stuff, and it happens, and sometimes it's worse than others. That show I saw in Buffalo in 1992, his microphone was feeding back or doing something, and he launched that microphone towards the sound booth. Somebody went home that night with a pretty cool souvenir. And and it was like one of those microphones like the yellow windscreen or whatever. He always has those colorful microphones.
Sure.
And he just launched it, and it probably went about 30 yards into the crowd or whatever it was. But you could hear it going through the going through the air through the giant speakers. But Axl does what Axl does, and I've had the good fortune to interview him and stuff. He seems like a super nice guy, but I think that he's also a perfectionist, and that's why I think that it takes so long for some of these records to come out and some of the Guns N' Roses stuff to actually come to fruition.
Yeah, there's a lot behind it. I've been privileged, and I'm at the very early stages of working on a book with the previously mentioned Doug Goldstein, his autobiography, and just to learn from him. He spent 17 years with Axl. And he kind of left it towards the end of Chinese Democracy, but he was there for the beginning of it. But still, he's a perfectionist, and the way Doug phrases it, it's like the woman's pregnant, like let her give birth, like you're not letting it happen. And So it's just interesting, but I think what needs to be noted, because the show is still great. Everyone is around me is having a great time. Technical issues aside, even though you see it frustrate him at times, he's an absolute professional going through it. Because years past, you could do a rant, you can leave, cause a riot. None of that is happening. Everyone's having a great time. And I think that needs to be pointed out. But I'm just wondering, because I mentioned earlier the 11 o'clock ordinance. I wonder if the set was cut a little short because of technical issues. I wonder if maybe that's why they were 10 minutes late. Again, they're early, but 10 minutes late on that. Because I got an email from Ticketmaster like a week before, and I was wondering why are they moving up the show? And I'm thinking, maybe they're going to do more. They're going to do 4 hours. So it was a little odd that the one song encore, because that's usually not their style. But yeah, I think also I got derailed a little bit with the set listing and the new music. It obviously did not happen. You would have heard about that in the news. But I was waiting for it. So I think this is just an exciting tour. I can't wait to be, back in the seats again at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. I say New York because I think it's where the Giants and Jets play. Yeah, that's a whole other conversation.
Exactly. Like there's only one real football team in New York.
Buffalo Bills.
That's right.
I don't know. It's not my fault. I don't represent all New Yorkers.
I got you. Where are you from, by the way?
I like to say I'm from Brooklyn. Because
okay.
That's where my family's from. Even though I moved when I was 1.5, I just find it cooler to be a Brooklyn Jew than a Long Island Jew because I grew up on Long Island. I don't know. That usually makes people laugh. I'm glad it made you laugh. I grew up on Long Island, but my family's from Brooklyn, so I have a lot of that in me. And now I live in Queens. I live in Queens, not too far away from My Heart Radio, where I work. But I'm currently talking to you in my home setup in Queens. So
gotcha.
I'm at home.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brando, thanks so much for the info on the show. Can't wait. So you're going to see him again before I see him. But we got the date right here in the Motor City coming up. And, Guns N' Roses always seems to, do something cool here. We've done a lot of stuff with Slash in the past. I know Axl's played here a couple times with, with the Buckethead, Bumblefoot, GNR, DJ Ashbawn, the whole thing. And I remember Slash doing an acoustic thing for us one time, and it was really cool. We were at like a bar, and it was just like radio station winners. And when Slash walked in, it was like this hush came across the whole crowd, like it was like royalty walking into this club. And there was only 40 or 50 people there, so it was kind of cool to see something like that, Oh,
of course, and especially since I haven't had the pleasure to meet him, but from all accounts, he's the nicest guy, and he's just not that kind of person that wants everyone to be quiet around him. He just wants to be one of the guys. But then again, he's Slash, so especially I don't know if he was walking around with the top hat at the time, but he commands that. He's that kind of guy, that legacy, and I hope as somebody who's a little bit younger than you in this profession that I can one day grow up and I can interview Slash and act just like you. Yeah,
Slash is a nice guy. I remember he said something to me on stage, and during that acoustic thing that he took a dig at me a little bit, just in fun, just goofing around. And so afterwards I said, Slash, what are you doing that to me for, or something like that? He says, just add a little levity to the situation. He's just being a dick, that's all. But he's been nice in the years. I interviewed him for the first time. I think it was Slash's Snake Pit. Right after he left Guns N' Roses. So I don't even know if he had left at the time, but anyways.
That's very cool. See, I got to interview the two former lead singers of Slash's Snake Pit.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go. Those are my name drops.
Yeah.
Todd Jackson and why am I forgetting the other one all of a sudden?
Is it who was Drove?
Eric Dover.
Yeah,
Eric
Dover. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, you helped me. there. See,
yeah.
I told you off the air. I worked the morning show today, so I've been awake since 3 a.m. as we're recording this. But you got me to talk Guns N' Roses. So you got some energy out of me, of course.
Well, there you go. That's one of us that's been up since 3 a.m. Well, I'll tell you what, Brando, thanks so much for the time. Appetite for Distortion is your podcast, of course, primarily Guns N' Roses centric, but you do venture off, and I invite people to check it out if they get a chance. But I do appreciate the time, my friend, and we'll talk to you soon enough. Be well, okay?
You got it, and I told you. I just interviewed Derek Armstrong from the LA Kings, hockey, right up your background.
I've never
6 degrees of GNR bacon. I talk a lot about mental health as well. Yeah, GNR is the nucleus, but yeah, mainly GNR.
No, that's awesome. Well, I'll have to give this hockey game a look-see because I've never really done it before. So.
Oh, okay. Good luck to your Red Wings.
All right, yeah, right. Well, I think we're going to be all right this year. So, hey, thanks so much for the time, my friend. We'll talk to you later.
You got it, buddy. Thanks, Meltdown.
And there he is, Brando, the host of Appetite for Distortion, the podcast. And, of course, Jack Blades before that from Night Ranger. Like I said, and the band played on. Comes out on August 6th. The new single's out right now called Breakout. And, yeah, that multiple guitar solo is kind of crazy. It's at least in 3, maybe 4 parts if you get a chance to check that out. So, really good conversation. Love talking to Jack Blades. First time I ever talked to him. And a super nice guy, right? Seems really cool. So, hey, check back. I've got some more modern artists coming up as far as interviews are concerned in the near future. So follow, subscribe, that whole thing. Well, I do this all the time. I just steal the thunder from the guy with the big voice. All right. Come on, Pete. Do your thing.
Thank you for listening to Talkin' Rock with Meltdown. You can help this podcast grow by giving it a 5-star rating and writing a review on Apple and iTunes. Plus, feel free to subscribe and share it with your friends. Until next time, thanks for listening to Talkin' Rock.
Looking for the perfect gift for your mom, your spouse, your kids, or even your BFF? Must-Haves and FunFinds.com has you covered. Our team is crafting lists of ideas to make every gift you give extra special. Must-Haves and FunFinds.com.